Some people say that working in healthcare is rewarding, while others complain about the low pay, the stress, and the long hours. But what is my truth? Today, I'll be sharing with you my experience working in UK healthcare. I'll talk about the good, I'll talk about the bad, and what I wish I knew before I started. And if you stick around to the end, I'll be sharing with you one of the biggest challenge that no one is talking about and how you can handle it. Hey there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Evelyn, and if you're seeing me for the very first time, I'm so glad you found this space. Please consider subscribing and sticking around for more. To my returning subscribers, I'm so grateful that you came back. So, first of all, why healthcare? Why did I choose to work in healthcare? As many of you already know, for most immigrants, we see healthcare as a stable career with good job security. Okay. And most private healthcare and the NHS are always hiring, right? They're always looking for people to work. And it's not to make it look too easy, but it's one of those easiest industries to actually enter when you come newly to the UK. And for some of these roles or some of these companies or healthcare boards, they offer visa sponsorships, all right? But the most important thing for me is the desire to help people, the desire to make a difference in the life of others. I have always worked in healthcare all my life, even when I did not study anything related to healthcare in my school. So as soon as I graduated from uni, I started working in a private clinic back in my country. I also worked in a teaching hospital back in my country before I moved here, and I just continued from there. So I have always enjoyed working in healthcare, and I've always found fulfillment when somebody is happy because of the good I have done. All right. So that is the reason I chose to work in the healthcare here in the UK. But pause, not everything is as easy as it seems, and I'll be breaking it down in this video. For a start, we have to talk about the good part of working in UK healthcare. By the way, I work with the NHS, okay, so that you know where I'm coming from. The first one is job stability. There is always demand for healthcare workers. So when once you get in, and if you're doing the right thing and you're doing your job properly, you will rarely be out of job. Okay. The second reason is career progression, right? You can begin in an entry level role like a healthcare assistant or a healthcare support worker, and you move up from there to become a nurse, a midwife, or even get management roles if you've got the right training. Now, depending on where you're working, in NHS Scotland, let me emphasize, depending on where you're working, you can be trained to become a nurse in an open university, but that has to come with your manager's recommendation and support, right? So you have to do good by your manager, okay, and let him be satisfied that you're actually worthy of this. And also, it is classified as public funds. So for you that are on visa sponsorship, please avoid it even when they give to you, because as soon as the opportunity comes, the manager usually distributes it to every support worker to see if they're interested. But don't fall for it. It is public funds. Some emails can come telling you clearly that this is public funds. So if you're not entitled to it, don't bother applying. Wait until you're eligible. The third reason is flexible working options. So you can either do full-time, part-time, or bank shifts just to make more money. And for where I'm working, they are particularly considerate about having good work-life balance. So there's that flexible working policy in place for those that are eligible for it. And number four is that the pay is decent. It is not great, but it is decent, right? Compared to some other places or some other sectors that are paying really, really low. But even at that, you have options to boost your finance a bit because you can do overtime. Overtime, they pay you more, and night shift, you get paid more as well. And for NHS, depending on your length of service, you can be entitled to occupational sick pay and occupational maternity pay. And number five is the desire to help people. So like I mentioned earlier, in what motivated me to work in healthcare, or why I chose to work in healthcare, is that if you love caring for people, working in healthcare can really, really, really be rewarding. Why people are seeing it as stress, you have fulfillment working in healthcare. So there are perks here and there as a healthcare staff, especially working for the NHS. I'm not an NHS ambassador. I just love where I'm working. There are perks here and there if you're working for healthcare. There are discount services in case you don't know, blue light card and the rest of those discount services. You get discount in most of the shops go to buy as a healthcare staff. So let's talk about the hard parts that nobody prepared me for. The first one is that the job is mentally and physically demanding. And by this, I'm talking about long hours, very long hours, 12 hours a day, night shifts that I never worked nights in my life. I love to sleep. But coming here, I've had to work at night. You're constantly up and about, except you're on break, there is always something to do. So for 12 long hours, maybe you have an hour or two break, you're constantly up and about, you're lifting patients. That is not even easy. Like, yes, moving and handling training is usually given to make this easy so that you don't hurt your back or you don't suffer some kind of long-term condition because you're lifting patients wrong. But this does not make the job any easier. And there is also like this issue with staff shortage. Many care homes and even like for the NHS, so many of the hospitals are short staffed. And this now puts pressure on the staff that are on ground to work. The pressure is real. And let's not even talk about workload versus pay. It doesn't match. The workload is high. The pay, even though I said it's great, it doesn't match the workload at all. And as expected, we work in extreme weather conditions as well. But this is not just peculiar to the UK. I think it's peculiar to every frontline healthcare staff in the world. Be- because lives are dependent on healthcare staff going to work in the hospital. So, like the recent storm that happened in the UK, I think is January or February. I'll put the date somewhere in the screen. I happened to be on duty that day. I did not tell my family, but it was one of the horrifying experiences I had because I was so scared to drive. There was red weather warning everywhere, stay at home. And sadly, some people passed. I don't know if they're healthcare staff or not, but it was really, 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 really bad. But I happened to go, not just me, and other healthcare champions went to work that day as well. So sea trees falling, the wind was shaking and moving your car everywhere, but you have to go to work as long as you are a frontline staff. That is one of the not so good experience working in healthcare. And I did not tell my family because I don't want anyone thinking that I'm going to die on the road or something. Luckily, I'm safe and sound. That's why I'm making this video. Now, as an immigrant, there is that workplace culture shock. So if you're from a country like mine that healthcare is done differently, the UK healthcare policies can be difficult to adjust to. All right. Honestly, healthcare here is completely different from how it was back home. Even though I worked in administrative roles, I can confidently tell you that it is different from what we have here. And how about dealing with difficult patients, emergencies, or even death? They're all like part of the job that nobody actually prepared me for. And to be honest, this job is not for everyone because you need stamina and you need grace. So I've had the opportunity to work with the private healthcare and NHS as well. I will not be comparing I will not be comparing them side by side, but what I would say is that for the private healthcare, I actually had great support. Funny enough, some people will tell you otherwise. I actually had great support working in the private healthcare, but the eligibility to get occupational pay was way longer than what the NHS would offer. Plus, they don't sponsor immigrants. I think currently they are sponsoring. When I was working with them, they were not sponsoring. Then I had an offer with the NHS and I moved. So my first role as a permanent employee was tough. Even though I would say I like the job in itself, it was something I naturally enjoyed. If I go into details of the job roles and responsibilities, you will know where I'm coming from. So I love the roles, I love the responsibilities. That is what I'm trying to say. And it was like Evelyn, welcome home kind of situation. As soon as they told me, okay, this is what you're doing, this is what you're doing, I loved it. I said, okay, I'm staying here for 5 years, or I'm staying here for as long as I can grow. But let me shock you, that quickly changed. Quickly changed, because in an environment where you expect staff or colleagues to support each other, the reverse was the case. Absolutely opposite. And I started dreading going to work. It was tough. Like, it was tough. The first few months were fine, but every other month after that was just something I'm not ready to talk about yet. I don't want to go into those details, because even right now, just talking about it gives me a bad feeling, and I keep remembering or reliving all the things that I went through in that place. So I moved. Yeah, I left. Sadly, I left. I left a job that I so loved. I'm currently still with the NHS. So I moved from one NHS, how will I call it? I moved from one place to another place, still in the NHS, okay, where I'm currently working. I've got great support, lovely staff. And even though it is not what I would naturally go for, but the support means everything. The fact that I'm treated right, the fact that I'm respected and I have this huge support, it's everything. I'm happy where I am right now. But don't get me wrong, even this current place is still challenging, but it's nothing out of the ordinary or out of the normal everyday healthcare challenges. And that brings me to what one of the things I wish I knew before I started, and that is joining a union. I never knew that there was anything called a trade union, or I was even eligible self to join one. If I were a member of a union, maybe I would still be in my first role with the NHS, or maybe not, right? Because of what I can say. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of joining a union. So go on Google, search for trade unions in the UK. If you're already in the UK, search for trade unions. There are so many that will come out. So choose the one that suits you best. But please join a union. Now, here is the biggest challenge that no one is talking about: burnout. Burnout is real. There are so many healthcare staff that quit because of exhaustion and stress. The stress has many uncles and aunties and nationwide branches. It's not a joke. But what I would recommend is to set boundaries. I know we all need money, it's a fact, but don't take on too many shifts. Some people just ignore signs and they just keep pushing and trying their luck. Listen to your body. Our bodies are always giving us signs if we're exhausted or not. So please make time for rest and seek emotional support when necessary. Also, if the workload becomes too much, you might consider moving to less stressful roles. So even if you are sponsored, maybe by a particular health board to work, it doesn't mean that you cannot switch your location, right? So if you're working in, say, location A, and you know that location B is easier, as soon as a job listing comes on, apply and move to that side so that you live long to do the job. Okay. So I'll summarize by asking, is working in the UK healthcare actually worth it? It depends on what you want, to be honest, because if you're looking for career growth and stability, this can be rewarding, and that is if you don't mind the hard work. This can be rewarding, but if you're looking for easy money, I'm sorry, this might not be for you. So please tell me in the comment section what your experience has been like if you're working in the healthcare here in the UK. I'll be reading. Not everybody's experience is like mine, even though I didn't give like the full details here. When I'm ready, I will tell you about that one. And don't be discouraged, okay? If I never moved from my location A to my location B, I would think that everywhere is like that. Everywhere is not like that, regardless of whether NHS or private. So if you're thinking of applying for an NHS job and you don't know how to go about it, watch my video on how to do it the right way. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.